to also more familiar. And if you just heard that, we are going to be recording tonight's webinar, and it will be placed available on our Facebook page sometime in the future when someone is able to accurately upload that. So I don't know when that would happen, but we're hoping to have that in the future. So thank you, everyone. My name is Cheryl Hall. I am a member of TDMC, the Teaneck Democratic Municipal Committee, TDMC for short. I represent District 16. I am your host or moderator for this evening, and I'm very proud to be able to do this service. A little bit of background. We sent out a questionnaire of 7 questions to all candidates that are running for Board of Education here in Teaneck. We had 8 responses. One of them, Ms. Schneider, was unable to be here tonight due to a conflict with her own back to school. But the other 7 that responded are on here tonight with us. And what we are going to do is we're going to have a multi-phase approach with 2 minutes for opening for all candidates. Each candidate will get about 2 minutes for an opening, and then 1 minute to publicly answer the questions in their own words that we submitted to them. And then there will be an 8th wild card question as well, and with 1 minute closing. Our timekeeper tonight is Miss Margot Fisher. And Margot, can you just unmute yourself and show us your cards?
Yeah, so people get 2 minutes. I think you maybe said this for their opening statements, and 1 minute for each question and 1 minute for the closing statements. And when you're 15 seconds away from whichever time limit it is, I will hold up this yellow card. I'm going to try to find the sweet spot so that but hopefully you can see it anyway. I think that the fact that I have my screen blurred is causing a problem. And then red is stop. And if you don't stop when I hold up the red stop card, I will let you finish your sentence. But if it seems like you're going on or starting a new sentence, I will tell you that your time's up.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Margot. And at this point, I would ask all of the panelists to mute themselves, or everyone to mute themselves until, so David, if you could mute yourself too. Great. Okay, until I call on your name. And even though I just asked you to mute, but you will be the first person up. Okay, so right now we're going to do 2 minute introductions, and the first candidate or that I would like to call on is David Gruber. David?
And thank you for sponsoring tonight's event. So I'm Dave Gruber. I was formerly a trustee for about 5.5 years, and I'm running again because I think there's a need for change. There are really 2 areas of focus. One is academic achievement. The secondly is financial responsibility. In terms of academic achievement, we could do better. When you look at the test scores, 48 to 65% of the students actually have passable grades in arts and literature as well as math. And I think the expectations could be higher. In terms of financial responsibility, we spend $29,419 per student, which is an incredible number for K through 12. And there are lots of reasons for it. I think this recently the board has actually the responsibility of managing the budget. It just isn't there at the moment. And lastly, the superintendent issue was a disaster. And to go and renew the contract for 5 years, I think was a mistake. And supposedly there was some money that was made to make the deal that he would disappear and go away. So the bottom line is academic achievement, financial responsibility, and really focusing on value creation.
Thank you so much, David. And now I'd like to call on Ed Ha, 2 minutes.
Yes, hi, everyone. So a little bit about myself. I was born in France. I moved to the US in 1992 to pursue a master's in mechanical engineering at CU Boulder. And then I moved to Teaneck 18 years ago. So I have two children in the Teaneck public school system. My son is in 8th grade at Benjamin Franklin Middle School, and my daughter, Ruby, is a senior at the Teaneck High School. So I've always been involved in the lives of my children. I am currently the PTA president at Benjamin Franklin Middle School and the PTA council president. So I've seen firsthand, being involved in the school, how fortunate my kids are to have top-notch teachers and amazing friends of all backgrounds. I am running because we can and must do more for all our children. I believe that we need 1, equity for all, 2, redefine the school experience and offer more opportunities for all our children, and 3, set strong expectations for our students and hold our superintendent accountable to that standard. So together as a Teaneck community, I truly believe that we can achieve excellence together and become a blue ribbon school district. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next candidate, we'll hear from Sebastian Rodriguez.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for hosting this forum. And glad to see 6 out of 14 candidates here. I'm very disappointed that not all 14 showed up. I don't know the reasons why, but I hope, that they show up because it's important for everyone to hear different perspectives. As for my reasoning, can you hear me? As for my reasoning for running for school board for year 16, is because I think we have some unfinished business to do. One of them is leading the board into hiring a superintendent. It is a very complex and very delicate process, and it's not something that board members that are not experienced should be responsible for. I'm also running because I consider myself a strong advocate for public education. Having 2 kids who graduated from the Teaneck School District, I can see how great the district can be. I'm not saying that I'm satisfied with the education, with the total education in the district. I think we can do a lot better. But I think it starts with hiring the right superintendent, having a board that believes and supports public education, and who's going to work with the superintendent to develop goals to move the district forward. So those are the reasons why I continue to run for school board, and I'm glad to be running with 4 of the members who share my beliefs, and I really think will be a great addition to the board if elected. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next candidate that we will hear from, Naveed Ahmad.
Good evening, everyone. And I want to thank TDMC for hosting this. It really is important to have a forum to be able to get to meet the candidates. First and foremost, I want to just talk a little bit about myself. I am the product of a Filipina mother and a Pakistani father. They emigrated here to the States for a better life for their kids, a better education for their kids. And I'm a proud product of the school system of the Bronx. And so I grew up in the Bronx. I moved to Teaneck about 7 years ago. My wife and I were looking for a place to kind of start our family and kind of start our roots. And investigating, suburban towns, Teaneck kind of just like, we just fell in love with the diversity of the people, the quality of the people. And the township is just really amazing. And that's why we're proud to have 2 kids now. My daughter is 5 and my son 4 years old in the public school system. And so I really have skin in the game, and that's why I'm here, because I want to fight not just for my own kids, but I want to fight for Teaneck's parents and Teaneck's residents. I think everybody should have a shared responsibility to ensure that our public school system is strong. When people come here to move, when people boast about their town, they boast about their public school system. And so that's why it's important to me. And I'm running on a platform that focuses on 4 things. Number 1, focus on student development and success. I believe a strong public school education helps prepare students to be independent, critical thinkers. And so we focus on the academics, but we have to also ensure that our students have the resources, the things to be able to socialize, after school programs, sports, things like that, critical things to create a connectedness, both to the town and to others. Build upon the early education system. I'm a strong advocate for early childhood education and early childhood intervention. I think creating a strong foundation helps build student success in the future. Ensuring educational equity. I want to make sure our township, with its beautiful diversity, has, it means that students come from all backgrounds. And I want to make sure that every student is met where they're at to be able to get the education that they need by the time they graduate. And then finally, I want to make sure there's clear and transparent communication between the board and our parents, students, and township. And so that's why I'm running. I'm running on the strength of my own qualifications and my own competency. And that's why I'm running. I'm really excited for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate that we will hear from is Denise Sanders.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Thank you. Well, I too like to thank the TDMC for being courageous and continuing on with your endeavors and making sure that everybody's voice and every opportunity that we get to hear from the candidates are heard. So I thank you all. Now, my name is Denise Sanders, and I'm a proud graduate of the Teaneck School District. I'm running for a 7th year on the Teaneck School Board because I am a committed volunteer to the public schools. And I believe that every student can achieve and deserve excellence from their educational experience. Now, as a board member, I will continue to ensure that every child in our school district receives a world-class education. I am committed to making sure that we support and develop our education system to create a cradle to college or career path pipeline. I believe that as a board member, we should support a system that that nurtures and respects school teachers so that they can be creative and effective with instructions. I will strive to see how our public schools can maintain the highest level of achievement so that the parents want to send their children from K to 12th grade to our school district. I will encourage our curriculum committee, our schools, create multiple pathways for student success. Finally, I want our school board to collaborate with the community stakeholders to enhance our schools' educational opportunities. When you elect me, I will support ways to empower our students, teachers, and families so we can achieve excellence together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And our next candidate will be Cassandra Reyes.
Good evening, and thank you to the TDMC for hosting and those of you in attendance today. Buenas noches y gracias al TDMC por organizar y ustedes para asistir esta noche. Mi nombre es Cassandra Reyes y tengo 9 años aquí viviendo en Teaneck, casada, siguiendo a mis hermanas, que también viven aquí en Teaneck. Mis sobrinos asisten a las escuelas aquí en Teaneck, pues soy muy dedicada para ellos y todos los estudiantes aquí en Teaneck. Este año será 20 años trabajando de educación. Comencé como maestra, luego entrenadora de los maestros y ahora soy consejera. Tengo muchos años de experiencia en educación y tengo mucha pasión para la educación pública. So my name is Cassandra Reyes and I've been a Teaneck resident for 9 years, married and following my sisters who also live here in Teaneck. My nieces and nephews attend the schools here in Teaneck. This is my 20th year working in education. I started as a classroom teacher, transitioned to an instructional coach, and now a school counselor. I have experience in different aspects within education, which allows me to truly understand the intricacies of the school environment. As an educator, coach, and counselor, I have collaborated and shared best practices with my colleagues. I am running because I truly believe and I'm very passionate for public education and feel strongly that we create policies with students' interests first. Me postulo porque realmente creo en la educación pública y siento que es muy importante crear regulaciones enfocadas en el éxito de los estudiantes. Gracias.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, our next candidate is Clara Williams.
Thank you. I'd like to start out with a quote that I feel defines how I feel about education in Teaneck. Education, then, beyond all other devices of human origin, is the great equalizer of the conditions of men, and it is essential to maintaining a democracy. Good evening again to the TDMC. I'm Clara Williams. I'm a long-term resident of Teaneck. I have served on the Teaneck Board of Education, and I was recently appointed to fulfill someone's unexpired term this past July. When I worked on the board, I have always advocated for our students, for our families, for our great schools, and I have spoken with across the state to advocate for legislators to pay attention to us, as well as for, and I've also tried to communicate with the community. I know that I can bring a level of experience and stability and consistency to the Board of Education. I feel this is a critical time that where that experience is needed, very much like our country. I have I have a number of accomplishments that I'm very proud of, and I'll elaborate further.
Thank you so much. Clara, I just wanted to let you know your computer seems a little bit glitchy. We were able to hear you, but it was kind of a botching. I just want to make you alert of that. If anything happens, I will certainly ask Margot to give you a few extra seconds on there if it does happen when you're speaking again. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and so now we are right on schedule and we're going to move into the question phase. And I'd ask all of you just to give your personal thought on these questions, a little bit more in depth from your personal view. And the first question is, what programs would you advocate for to prepare students in a varied range of careers? Okay, I'll repeat that for the audience, because I'm sure our candidates are familiar with the question. What programs would you advocate for to prepare students in a varied range of careers? Okay, and you each have 1 minute for this. And now we are going to start our question with Ed Ha.
Yes, so I would love to see internships. Currently, Teaneck High School students cannot really do internships because they don't have a full day that they can spend at a company in New York City or in New Jersey. The other thing I would love to see is data analytics. Data analytics may seem an intimidating word, but it's a growing sector of the economy, and it's widely used across many industries. So the ability to analyze data today is crucial, and that's why I think that a data analytics curriculum is very important. And finally, apprenticeship. Focus at least on one high quality apprenticeship, such as carpentry, plumbing, or cooking, is also something I would love to see. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate that we'd hear from for this question is Sebastian Rodriguez. Sebastian.
Hi, thank you for the question. Similar to what Mr. Haas said, I will support 3D printing, virtual metaverse technologies, which is very becoming very available nowadays, and coding. As a matter of fact, there's someone in Teaneck who runs a very successful 3D printing and virtual metaverse company. And I got in contact with him about a month ago and asked Ms. Binsack to for technology director, and Mr. Montserrat, who runs the science programs, to get in contact with this individual because he was looking to collaborate, and we both saw great opportunities for our students for a technology and a field that is growing tremendously. And as we all know, we see a lot of companies moving in that direction. So I think there's great opportunities for our students to collaborate there. Sorry for going over, Mario.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate will be Naveed Ahmad.
So I am a firm believer when it comes to a college education. A little insight on to me. I have a bachelor's from Hunter College, and I have an MBA in finance. And my entire career is dedicated to student development in higher education, where I work at Columbia University now. And so I am a firm believer in the benefits of a college education, but I also think that we really need to make sure that we focus on ensuring that students have appropriate career paths. So that's vocational opportunities in entrepreneurship. I really firmly believe in experiential learning. So that does include internships and externships. So we really need to expand on that. And then, on top of that, I think when we're focusing on outcomes and student outcomes and developing a student to be successful, and we're thinking about creating an independent critical thinker, we also have to think about introducing financial literacy at an earlier age. So, I think it's important that we do have financial literacy as a requirement as it is right now for Teaneck High School to graduate. But I think we need to start, incorporating that in an earlier age so students have an understanding and healthy relationship with money and understand no matter what career you choose, you're going to find a way to be able to be self-sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next candidate will be Denise Sanders.
Okay, so being an educator myself, I do understand the importance of a solid foundation and of proper education to make our kids lifelong learners. So the programs or the classes or activities that I would like to see extended into our school would definitely be to enhance our business programs that we have. I also think that the technology program that we have is excellent, and it needs to be expanded so that our middle school kids can be more prepared for when they enter into the high school arena. The career alternative programs that we have, such as culinary arts and the apprenticeships programs that we're setting up with the digital video and production program that we started this year. That was a new program that in the curriculum we supported, and we wanted very much to make sure that our kids have an opportunity. And gaming is also an industry that I know many of our kids are involved in, and we think we could prepare them to go after all of the opportunities that is allowed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate will be Cassandra Reyes.
So I think it's important to have career days early on and throughout students' education, and including many different paths so that students realize that, there's not just specific paths that they should follow, but there's many different opportunities. And it's important to expose them to all that early on and throughout their education. Furthermore, there should be different after-school programs and activities where students can explore their different interests. Lastly, agreeing with what Sebastian had said earlier about partnerships with local organizations and internships so that students gain hands-on experience with different careers. And as Ed said also, and Denise, internships and, being really open to having them practice with apprenticeships then also. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate we'll hear from is Clara Williams.
We like to support our students and provide a number of opportunities. We have, and we will continue to do so. I would like to see more partnerships developed with our universities, which we happen to have in town, as well as our hospitals. I'd love to see a functional partnership where our students get to go into these medical professions as well as academic professions early on in their high school life. And I'd also like to see coding added to our curriculum, as well as prepare our students for the careers of the future. And again, those partnerships with the businesses would allow us to do that.
Thank you. And the last candidate for this question, David Gruber. Thank you.
There we go. Thanks for the question. I believe the first thing is we have to build foundational skills. And those skills are in teamwork, they're in problem-solving skills, they're in data analytics, and then importantly, in the STEM subjects. As mentioned by others, I believe in mentorships as well as internships. And I also think that coding is something that we have to bring into the curriculum. I think it's important to define the here and now in terms of the opportunities, and not those opportunities that will emerge within the next 10 or 15 years.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And now we'll move on to our second question. What plan for improving access? What is your plan for improving access to mental health services? So I'll repeat that again for the audience. What is your plan for improving access to mental health services? And we'll start this round off with Sebastian Rodriguez.
One of my plans is to continue to support school-based programs like the forums. A few years ago, the state was threatening to cut funding because they deemed that these programs had to be effective. And through a lot of advocacy on our part and the administration and the community, we were able to have the state not cut funding. And I'm glad to see that within the last few weeks, the state of New Jersey has decided that there's actually more funding needs to be provided to programs such as school-based programs such as the forum, because they do such a great job of making sure that our students receive all the services they need regarding mental health services. It is something that they were doing before the pandemic, and I think after the pandemic, it became even more obvious that those services are much needed. So the goal is to make sure the services are not only provided throughout the high school, but also throughout the whole district. So we have to be very creative to make sure that those services are spread out throughout the district, as opposed to only one school. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next candidate on this question would be Naveed Ahmad. Naveed?
Thank you. So I think it's a really difficult one, and I think it starts with preventative measures. I think first normalizing the conversation around mental health, and I do think our guidance counselors do a really good job of this, and our staff do a good job of this. But that also means helping to prepare, our parents, right, the folks at home, to be able to have that conversation as well, because I think the early intervention is important. So, when children and students know that they have various pathways to access to resources and to help, I think that's an important step. Ensuring our guidance counselors and our staff have the information, the resources to facilitate those interventions and those and working with students that need help. And then additionally, I think mentorship is really important. Once again, when we're talking about preventative, I think mentorship, especially peer mentorship, builds a lot of resilience. And that leads to positive student outcomes. So I think when we look at it preventatively and we try to get ahead of it and ensure that our team and our staff at the schools have the resources that they need, I think that's how you approach it.
Thank you very much. Our next candidate is Denise Sanders.
Okay, well, the Teaneck School District has done an incredible job in making sure that we address this issue and that we maintain a stigma-free environment. I think the Care Plus One program that we have, as well as the forum and even our student climate grant that we received a couple of years ago has also enhanced our ability to address some of the needs that we need in our district. I think as long as we continue to provide engaging activities and positive activities to enhance the students' growth, as well as our staff and the community around us to make sure that we all have positive influence to what's going on in our community, that will continue to enhance us. I also want to make sure that we provide counseling and intervention service throughout the years, and that is also demonstrated with our social emotional learning curriculum, so that we can address and make sure that everyone is actively and creatively involved in making sure the mental health is something that we are addressing and not shying away from. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate will be Cassandra Reyes.
Okay, thank you. So mental health services are key in reducing anxiety and improving students' moods, which allows them to think more clearly. Additionally, students with access to mental health have increased self-esteem and a greater sense of calm and inner peace, which improves relationships, leading to students achieving more academically. And I see this every day as a school counselor working with those students. So it's important to continue to support our school's counselors, continue the CARES and the Forum program that we currently have, because it's key in supporting students and families and addressing concerns early on. And it's similar to a question that actually came up at our previous forum. And I think it's kind of applicable here too, thinking about the transitions from the different schools, from elementary to middle to high. And I think it's important to learn about the current practices in place, but also add mentoring with students so that to ease the transition, thinking about activities and sports that they could do together, and also thinking about articulation where school staff can share information to better support students and families. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next candidate will be Clara Williams.
Well, the Teaneck School District has a number of resources to support mental health. As the previous candidates have mentioned, we have the Forum, we have Care Plus, and we also have the Student Climate Grant. Now, the Forum was, as Sebastian mentioned, the Forum was in danger of being cut from the budget. And myself, along with others, staffers, as well as other colleagues in the state, lobbied our legislators to get that funding restored, and we were successful at it. I also think that we should, it has been an area that I have advocated for very strongly, and I also think that we've made available, I also know that we've made available for our staff who have also gone through some challenges with the COVID. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next candidate we will hear from is David Gruber. David.
There we go. So we're in the midst of a mental health crisis, especially for young people post-COVID. And so I have 4 recommendations in this regard. One is implementation of a 24/7 on-demand counseling and psychological services. Number 2 is identification of off-campus mental health services, such if the need arises, the students would have ready access to the services that's potentially available. Number 3 is the establishment of a system of well-being checks. And number 4 is developing an age-appropriate screening program for high school students. And there are instruments that have been validated, such as the PHQ-2 and the GAD-2 for depression and anxiety. So those are the 4 steps that I would take.
Thank you. And our final candidate on this question would be Edha.
Yes, so mental health is very important and needs to be taken seriously. I think that the School Climate Transformation Grant has done an amazing job to provide student access to licensed mental health care professionals for free. But for improving access to mental health care services, one, I would love to analyze the data. I think we should have enough data to understand what we did well and what we did not do so well the past 2 years. The second thing is that seeking the opinion of experts. It will be important for me to seek the expertise of mental health professionals and counselors in our area. I am not a professional in that area, so I would definitely love to seek the opinion of those experts to find solutions that are effective, cost-effective, and sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, so we're going to move on to our third question. What would you do to recruit and retain a diverse staff and pipeline to leadership? I'll repeat that again for the audience. What would you do to recruit and retain a diverse staff and pipeline to leadership? And we will start this round off with Naveed Ahmad. Naveed.
So, the board makes one hire, and that's the superintendent, right? So it is incumbent upon the board to hire somebody that understands the need to have a diverse staff and team of teachers. So that's the first thing, is making sure that there's a priority on ensuring that the superintendent values those things. Then on top of that, I think it's then incumbent upon the board to ensure that when there is a superintendent in place, that those practices are fulfilled. So I think it comes down to, simply put, making sure that the board has the ability to work collaboratively with the superintendent, that has the ability to value that. On top of that, once again, I think mentorship is very important. So when we have people in place, we want to hire within, we want to mentor the folks that we have in the system already to take on leadership roles. So I think mentorship from the top and training folks that are in those positions to take those leadership positions is the way we approach that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next candidate will be Denise Sanders. Denise.
Okay, well, I know some people think that this may not be a necessity in our district, but it certainly is. And I think that in order for us to, if we identify diverse cultures, groups in prominent schools, prominent, colleges, and prominent city areas, whatever, that will help us identify some good candidates as well to apply in our district in the needed areas that we need to promote, as well as also identify some incentives that will give people the incentive to go after the advanced studies and having more peer leadership in our own schools and our own communities, so that our teachers and staff that are already in our community can understand that they can go after these positions as well. And giving them the incentive and support to become supervisors and administrators within the district, that's the main thing that will help us make sure that we promote from within, but also identifying the cultural communities that will give us more incentives to bring students into, teachers into our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next candidate will be Cassandra Reyes.
Okay, so I think it's important to work with universities and teacher administration preparation programs, as Denise just mentioned, to recruit and participate in the training. This will allow like the intern to learn policies and how the school operates, hence ensuring a smooth transition upon joining our district in a more permanent position. Also, to improve retention, research shows when schools provide opportunities for teachers to collaborate with one another. It's essential to give teachers the resources they need so that they can be successful. And this includes high quality induction and mentoring programs. So giving educators a chance to participate in conferences, courses, webinars are all effective ways to improve their skills and boost their confidence. Lastly, educators need opportunities to express their opinions and concerns. So this all would improve recruiting and retaining our staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our next candidate we will hear from is Clara Williams.
Again, I would concentrate on building relationships with teacher preparation programs. We have some excellent universities in the area, as well as we have Montclair State, we have any number of universities, New York, New Jersey. So that's what I would do to recruit new teachers to our district. I think that we should also, which we already do, support professional development. If teachers have an opportunity to increase and hone their skills, they will feel a connection to our district. And lastly, I would work on developing relationships with support groups that and various educational institutions.
Thank you so much. And our next candidate we will hear from is David Gruber.
Okay, so I guess the mantra would be do more of the same. I believe that Teaneck already has a diverse staff with a pipeline for leadership. So I'm brief on this question.
Okay, thank you so much. And our next candidate would be Ed Huff. Ed.
Yes, thank you. I agree with everything that Cassandra and Clara say. If I may add a few things, I would definitely make sure that we hire at a competitive rate individuals that have proven experience and or individuals that have the right qualifications, right? So no favors. To improve retention, definitely we should design and implement high quality professional learning opportunities for teachers, but also trust the teachers. I mean, allow them to unleash their creativity, remove some of the red tape that so that they can focus on teaching. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And our final candidate for this question, Sebastian Rodriguez.
Thank you. I think this is always going to be a challenge in Teaneck because of the changing demographics. I mean, nowadays, student population happens to be 36% Latino and is the majority of the high school. Does that mean we have to hire every other teacher or the teacher to be a Latino teacher? Perhaps no. But we really need to make sure that our students, the teachers represent the population of the students as much as possible. But I'm more interested in hiring the best qualified teachers, because I think what matters most is to have teachers who, people who know how to teach, and people who, like Mr. Haas said, we need to create hiring incentives to attract them. There's a lot of competition, not only in New Jersey, but throughout the country for new teachers to enter the field. Make sure this staff development is going to be done in a way that means something for the teachers. I became a teacher 4 years ago, and that is something that I learned in New York, that sometimes the staff development is not connected to the needs of a teacher or the classroom. So that is something we need to continue to develop across the board so they can feel supported. And And that's pretty much it. I think it's a challenge that needs to continue to be looked at very closely to meet the needs of our students and hire the best qualified teachers.
Okay, thank you. We'll move along to question number 4. How will you increase student engagement in civic responsibility? So I'll read that again. How will you increase student engagement in civic responsibility? And we will start this round off with Denise Sanders. How did you guess?
You know, I'm figuring out the routine. Okay, well, I would definitely, support engaging students in civic responsibility with continued support, like programs that we have that YAB in the community and the different clubs that we have in our schools as well. And basically support the annual programs and encourage the annual programs that they have, such as I know YAB has a debate within the town, and the counseling that's provided for them to engage in the community, I think is a great thing. I think our classes are studies we should have more studies and classes for the civics in the 5th grade and above, giving class leadership responsibilities from the 6th grade on up, and going through the civic process to understand one of the easiest way to exercise their civic responsibilities and simply vote for class presidents and things like that. So let's teach them young and let's teach them right to make sure that they make good decisions when they grow up to be great citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our next candidate, Cassandra Reyes.
So I agree with a lot of what Denise said, and I think we should also include service learning projects to be integrated within our community. As she mentioned, the extracurricular activities, which we have a number of clubs, such as the Activism Club, the Black Youth Association, HEAL, which is a women's empowerment group, the Jewish Club, the Muslim Club, the Latino Club. So it really promotes community engagement and advocacy for young people. And it's important to incorporate class discussions and debates on current topics, as well as role plays and simulations, which allow students to work together towards a common good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from Clara Williams.
Well, I believe our students are civic minded. They are involved with a lot of community projects and volunteer and community service. I would advocate to have a civic class available to them in the lower grades as well as in the high school. We all know that if our students become engaged at an early age, that they will be able to contribute and have a solid understanding of civics. And that's about it.
Thank you very much. We seem to have lost our timekeeper, so I'll do my best.
I know. That's what I'm looking for.
That sounded about right. Now I have to look at it.
I think she gave up on us. She gave up on us.
That's okay. It's the internet. Our next candidate we'll hear from is David Gruber. Thank you.
Thank you. So what I would do is develop a civic leaders program on each of the branches of government. So the executive, the legislative, as the judicial, and for the non-for-profit sector. I would also have staff identify volunteer opportunities for students. I think it's been mentioned by other candidates that having engaged youth is really important, for the future of the country.
Thank you. That was great, David. And it does look like I'm on. I think Margot lost power in her home, so I'll be doing a double duty here. But our next candidate, I almost called you a contestant, is Ed Ha.
It's actually great to see that all of the candidates are definitely for increasing student engagement in civic responsibility. One, we have great social studies instructors in our school district. I mean, I know one of them that my kids had, and she's amazing. What I'd love to see is, one, making sure that we maintain or increase school hours towards social studies instruction. Two, encourage our teachers and our students to participate in extracurricular activities that are conducive to civic responsibility, such as programs like National History Day, Model UN, or Habitat for Humanity. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And it looks like Margot has rejoined us. Our next candidate, oh my goodness, Sebastian Rodriguez. Thank you.
Don't worry, I haven't called worse. Don't worry. I think there's some things that we're already doing. For example, the Youth Advisory Board has a strong collaboration with the Teaneck School District. The students who participate on the school board, the high school students, which is something I advocated for from the first time I got on the board, to have students on the board, and that's something that's been going on for years. I think there are opportunities to collaborate with organizations such as the League of Women Voters. There are many clubs in the high school that can also do that, through extracurricular activities. But I think the most important part is to have purpose and make sure that civics is connected to the curriculum, especially social study and language arts, because I think it's important. Across the nation, I think civics have decreased over the last 20, 25 years, if not longer. So I think there are many opportunities to make sure that we take the lead and make sure that more of our students are exposed to civics, not only at high school but throughout the district, in every school.
Thank you so much. And our final candidate for this question, Naveed Ahmad.
Thank you. So I think you find a way to personalize it, right? I think we have to encourage students to research a cause that is important to them, the way education is important to all of us, right? And the reason why we're here. So I think a part of the curriculum is it really should be, or there should be opportunities to find and research causes that are dear to them, and then educate them on how to lobby, right? How to go out there, how to speak to the representatives that are representing those that have a say in that, and engage them in true civic communication. So I think that's how you do it. That's the first step. And then we also, of course, have to make sure they have an idea of the opportunities to connect and to volunteer, right? It would be great to see, more Teaneck High School students log into things like this, to be able to understand and understand the conversation that's going on that's going to possibly affect them. So I think we engage them.
Thank you so much. And now we move on to our fifth question, which is, how will you guarantee and expand universal early childhood education? I'll repeat, how will you guarantee and expand universal early childhood education? And first up will be Cassandra Reyes. Cassandra.
Right. So I think we've been fortunate to have board members previously that really worked hard at getting a grant that allowed us to add 180 full-time early childhood seats for Teaneck residents. And I think it's important to continue to seek different grants and opportunities to offer universal early education, which has been proven to support the development of young children and could contribute to closing the opportunity gap.
Okay, thank you. Clara Williams.
Earlier childhood education is foundational. And it is something that I have advocated for since I first came on the board. And I was so delighted to be able to bring it to fruition. We worked very diligently on examining choices and opportunities and alternatives. And then, as I said, then the governor came up with a grant that was made available to us. Now the key is sustainability. That would be something that the board would mandate or give as a goal to our new superintendent to be able to craft the sustainability plan for our pre-K program.
Thank you. Next up, David Gruber.
It would help to ensure adequate federal and state funding. That's something that's been talked about. But while it's important to fund pre-K, it's also important to do a better job in terms of arts and literature, math and science for grades 2 through high school, because our test scores are really not good enough. Our college graduation rate represents an opportunity to increase the number of graduates who go on to four-year colleges. So again, I support pre-K. I think it's really important from a foundational standpoint, but there are issues besides pre-K that has to be addressed that have been inadequately addressed during the past few years.
Thank you. Next, Ed Ha.
So high quality, and I focus on high quality. High quality early care and education promotes children's development and learning and narrows inequality. So I think it's a must have. It's not a nice to have. So it needs to be included in the budget. And we need to find a way to include this in the budget. It's a must, in my opinion. So it's nice to have a grant, and we definitely need to focus on getting grants. That's definitely true, but I really believe that it's a must have to have early childhood education. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Sebastian.
Okay, like Ms. Williams said, those of us who have been on the board for a long time have been strong advocates for early quality early childhood education. And we're very glad when the funding became available and we're able to create and expand. But I think the key is to continue to make sure those programs remain, continue to advocate to the governor. I saw somewhere where he allocated another $40 million for expansion of pre-K programs. So we need to make sure that our parents, our families, our community remains strong behind this type of programs to advocate to the governor that these programs do not get removed from their budget. Because the research has shown that strong early childhood education benefits students where they do a lot better as they reach high school. So it will be extremely important for us to see how this cohort of students who started attending the pre-K program do throughout their education journey. And as they do testing both statewide and internally to see the benefits of quality after school program. So I'm very happy that we're able to provide the service, and I'm very happy that we continue to that the state of New Jersey continues to expand that service throughout the state.
Thank you so much. Next up, Naveed.
Thank you. So as I mentioned before, I think I'm a strong advocate for early childhood education. It is a non-negotiable. And so, we of course want to advocate and ensure that we still have the grant money coming in, and hopefully that continues to expand. But it really does need to be a line item on the budget and we have to plan for that. We have to plan for a worst case scenario, because like I said, I really think this is a non-negotiable. And beyond that, I think we have to make sure that, we increase our resources, because I think those early childhood interventions are really critical to create equity and to ensure that our students are learning at an equal pace. So increased resources for students on IEPs and special education programs can really help improve some of those student outcomes. So I think that's where I would focus on expanding as well.
Thank you so much. And our final candidate for this question, and I know she's figured me out already, Denise Sanders.
I was like, maybe she'll circle around in different ways, but I got it. Okay. Well, okay. So expanding our after school programs, I think the best, there's there's several ways that we could do it, but I think that by possibly funding extracurricular programs that will involve our students to participate from not only in the early school, the early elementary areas, but as well as all the way up to the middle schools. I think that would be something good that we can keep our students engaged in things that they can basically relate to and prepare themselves for the high school. And activities that would interest them to get them to learn different skills, different sports, as well as different ways of sharing ideas and basically working collectively with different community schools as well. So I think just by expanding that different programs and following up with what Sebastian and Clara and everybody said, we can continue to have so much engagement in our district by making sure we have extended programs throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. So the sixth question might kind of blend a little bit to this previous one. Maybe we can go through it quickly and get to the last two juicy ones. This sixth question is, how would you expand after school programs? So how would you expand after school programs? And I see someone already unmuted, so they already know I'm going to start with them. Miss Clara Williams.
Oh, I never
Oh, you
muted.
didn't know that.
Well, I would like to see enrichment opportunities expanded in our after-school programs. Our parents rely on some of these programs, especially because we have such a connection with the New York commute and distance commuting. So I would like to see our current programs expanded to cover more enrichment, like after school programs, prep programs, STEM programs, robotics, and there are any number of learning activities. But I believe that the children should also have an opportunity to play, and that's included in our programs as well.
Thank you. Next up, David.
I support after-school activities, but Teaneck already spends $114 million, or $29,419 per student. So after-school programs cost money. It's not for free. And so priorities need to be identified and allocation decisions made. So I do support it, but within the context of a broader budget.
Thank you. Next up, Ed Ha.
Yeah, so I recently read a paper from Harvard Graduate School of Education, and they mentioned 3 critical factors to achieve successful outcomes in after-school programs. One is sustained participation in programs. So young people experience greater gains if they participate in after-school programs with greater frequency and in a more sustained manner. And that goes with the second point, which is quality programming and staffing. So what the paper said was that developing programs intentionally with a focus on promoting target outcomes through well-organized and engaging activities. That's why, for instance, the chess program that I had initiated when I was in the PTOs, was so successful because I had worked with Teaneck Chess Academy, and there was this professional, this Russian woman that knows everything about chess, and she actually was able to come in and really provide great chess activities. So that's just an example. And last but not least, even though that goes actually hand in hand, is strong partnerships, right? So high quality programs effectively leverage partnerships with a variety of stakeholders, especially families, schools, and communities. And that goes in line with what Clara said.
Mr. Ha, your time is up.
Okay, my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Okay, our next candidate will be Sebastian Rodriguez. Sebastian, you're up.
Takes me a little when I look for the unmute. Quality after school program is something that I've been touting for about 15 years in Teaneck, as my experience was about funding for quality after school programs in the state of New Jersey. So similar to what Mr. Haas said, I think another important factor is an after school programs that are connected to the school day. Because kids need to see there's a connection to the learning that happens throughout the day, and that develops. That is part of the quality after school program. I know they're expensive, but that doesn't mean we should not look for opportunities. There are a lot of grants available for after school programs. There's also opportunities for collaboration. The Rhoda Center runs an after school program. There could be opportunities for the county, for the township and the school board to collaborate. The YMCA is closing in Hackensack. Maybe the district can reach out to those families and reach out. So I think that there are a lot of opportunities. I don't see it as a negative. And regarding the expense that David said, I completely disagree with his view, and I would love to elaborate a little bit more on that. Thank you.
There's a power outage here in Teaneck, so my computer's acting glitchy. But our next person will be Navad.
Got it. Thank you. So I'll keep it pretty short. I did hear STEAM, STEM, but I do want to make sure that we include the arts, and so I think STEAM is really important. So I do think and I'm, like I mentioned before, I'm really big on after school, because I do think those social connections are really important part of learning and development. So I would love to see STEAM options, right? Math, reading, arts, science, incorporate into those after school programs. So I think there's definitely opportunities for expansion and development in that area.
Thank you so much, Naveed. Thank you. Denise.
Okay, so I'm going ahead of myself because I answered the after school program first. So let me just say something about the early program, and basically what Clara and Sebastian and I, what they said, we were all together when we had to advocate and support the early education program. And I think the statistics shows that early education does become a vital resource for our kids to continue to grow and become lifelong learners. So everything that we can do to continue to support and help the families. I think all families from all communities participated in our free preschool program. So I think that's a universal acceptance for everybody in this community, which is a great step for Teaneck. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And our final candidate for this question, Cassandra.
So I think we can work with community organizations and residents. As Ed mentioned, like I know a local knitter, I'm a knitter, and I know a local knitter that volunteered at one of our schools. So I think that's beautiful. Plus, I think we need to incorporate service projects and civic learning. So we can also offer different clubs such as STEM and robotics, as Clara mentioned, and chess, as Ed talked about, but music, arts, dance, theater. We recently introduced an intramural sports program at the middle school. So making sure we have that available at the elementary school. And I know we have it available at the high school as well. So I think it's important to incorporate many different activities for our youth.
Thank you very much. Okay, and our final question before the wild card question, how would you integrate updated educational standards such as Amistad, LGBTQIA+, disability, sex education, etc.? And I'll read that again. How would you integrate updated educational standards such as the Amistad, LGBTQIA+, disability, sex education, etc.? And we are starting off with David.
There we go. So I would organize some workshops and seminars, institutes, and events on related materials. My answer is brief. I am concerned, though, about the age of children exposure in elements of the sex education curriculum. And I'm not the only one who's concerned in that regard. But again, that's my personal feelings. And what's more important is to follow forth on the state standards. And that's really what we're obligated to do.
Thank you so much. Our next, we will hear from Ed Ha.
Yes, so I would integrate updated educational standards by one, aligning the standards for each grade level in a way that's age appropriate. Two, provide inclusion-focused professional development programs for educators. And three, make sure that, in the day-to-day kind of at the school, to teach and use preferred and inclusive terminology, right? I mean, at work, there are things that I'm not allowed to say. And I think it should be the same at school, where, kids, should be very careful in how they speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, Sebastian.
Hi. Well, this is something that if people look closely, back in 2020, the district started what they call an integration of those mandates, state mandates, because they'll state mandates into aligning them into a curriculum. So it is a process that has been taking place now since 2020. And I think we, implemented them slowly as the state continues to make modifications. We continue to adopt those regulations into a curriculum, and I really don't feel that parents are the children are being exposed to anything inappropriate. I'm glad that the district acknowledges also that parents are able to make choices, and they're being given choices. If they feel that the child or children should not participate, they have alternatives. But in terms of the curriculum, I have no problem with the curriculum. I think it's extremely fair, and it makes our students become even more knowledgeable about the real world.
Thank you so much. Naveed.
In terms of implementing it, many of these standards, number one, we have to follow NJ state standards, NJSLS. That's the key, right? At the end of the day, we have to implement those things. How we do it is we bring in the important stakeholders together, right? The experts that we have in the room, our teachers, the staff, the leadership, to determine how to appropriately do this. And what's great about some of these standards is that they include benchmarks, right? So by second grade, they're expected to know this, by fifth grade, by eighth grade, and so on. So I think using those benchmarks is a way that we could leverage that and have our experts decide the best way to implement it. And that's our teachers.
Thank you so much. Next up, Denise.
Okay, well, I support our district abiding by the state standards to provide grade and age-appropriate curriculum that will educate and engage our students through a vigorous curriculum to empower them with the accurate information. So I think as long as we give them accurate information and opportunity to learn more and know more, then they'll do better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, you got it. Cassandra, yes, you're next.
Yes. So I know that we've adopted a curriculum to ensure that these standards are met, which was discussed in the previous Board of Education meeting. There's a curriculum subcommittee that worked with educators and families to select the curriculum. So they looked very carefully at it. And I think it should be integrated within the books that are available in the classroom and the units of study. And I think all students should feel represented within the curriculum while learning about other cultures. An integrated approach should be based on collaboration with students. Specifically, this could be done with starting units with a KWL chart, and that's an acronym for engaging the students in what they know, what they want to learn, and throughout the process, what they've learned. So this really engages students throughout the process in learning. Students would review the chart as they're learning and kind of track their learning progress. So additionally, these standards should be part of the readers and writers units. This fosters students to become lifelong learners as they are in charge of their learning.
And thank you. Finally, we'll hear from Clara Williams.
Well, standards are not new in New Jersey. And I think the key, as mentioned previously, is that they're state mandated and they are age appropriate. I have always advocated for increased inclusion in our curricula, and we have been working on it for years, and we're making progress. The state recently introduced some new standards where we have to include the LGBTQ plus and disabilities law. And I think that it makes for well-rounded, well-informed students. And again, I think the key words are age appropriate and standard.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. So we definitely have time for the wild card question. And I have to preface this kind of in my own words. And I'll start out with, I am personally a product of private schools, Catholic schools. That's what best worked for me as a child. But we wanted to know what your personal experiences are with different school systems, whether your children go to private school, charter school, or maybe public school, or if you went to private school, a charter school or a public school. So we kind of want to just get a feel for your personal experiences. And certainly there's no judgment about that. We just want to get to know, even though I went to private schools, I definitely have skin in the game for, promoting a wonderful public school system. So with that, and let me know if it's not clear or if you need some more information, but with that, we will start off with Sebastian.
Why not? So my experience, how much time do we have, first of all?
I'm
Same as
counting
the
this
other,
as 1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute.
You guys are.
But I want to start. I'm not counting this. Only when you start speaking.
Well, my experience.
Margo, we can't see.
Can I start?
You can't see me?
Yes, I can see you, Margo.
All right, Clara, for you, I will give you the signal, okay? So let's go, because we do have enough time to answer this. And
Okay, so you're just asking about people, our own experience. Well, my own experience, having been born in Dominican Republic, I attended a combination of public and private, and even combination of a private and religious schools up to the 8 to 12 years old. When I came here, I attended public schools. Then I went to college. I went to CUNY, and then went to a private school, St. John's University. And I saw kind of the difference when not so much in terms of education, but in terms of services and attention that you get when you pay your own money as opposed when you're attending public colleges. So, but that was fine. My kids attended a private school for a while. One of my son did for the first 3 years of his life, and then my daughter only attended public schools in Teaneck, and then he also attended public schools in Teaneck, and then they ended up in private university. So I'm not so sure what the correct answer is going to be. I think in my own experience, both have been great to some extent. Both have had challenges to some extent, and that's it.
that's wonderful. Yes, there's no right or wrong answer. We just want to get your experience. Okay, and Naveed.
All right. So, as I mentioned before, I'm a public school product. Did public school throughout all the way into high school. High school, I went to a public specialized high school. I went to Brooklyn Tech, go Tech Knights, and then went to CUNY, went to Hunter, got my bachelor's, and then went to Long Island University, which is a private university, for my MBA. And the thing about it is that you get into those big universities, CUNY, even Long Island University, you get lost, right? It's a big university. You become a number. That's what I want to really avoid with our education system. We want to make sure that our students are known and they're not just a number. And then my kids, like I said, I really have skin in the game. I have 2 kids in the public school system. My son Arbor is in Bryant, and he's having a great time there. And then my daughter is at the charter school. So both of them in public schools, and they both love it. And I think that's what's great about Teaneck, is that we have these great options. And that's what I want to make sure that there continue to be a lot of really strong options in Teaneck and a strong public school system. So thank you for the question.
We can't hear you.
I said, I see a smile on your face, so I know you're up, Denise Sanders.
Like Sebastian, why not? Okay, well, I am a product of the New York City school system as well. My parents moved me here for it was junior high then. We didn't have middle schools when I came here. It was junior high school. So I came from the Bronx into the Teaneck school system for junior high school, finished high school, graduate for class of 79. So, we're, well known. Anyway, I was able to go to college in Boston, Northeastern University, where I was able to matriculate with a 5-year degree, a 5-year program for speech pathology and audiology. Then I've decided that I really loved education. And after working in New York City, I went to NYU, got my master's degree, and they had an incentive for teachers in the beginning of the millennial year to go after technology. So I went back and got another master's in technology. But I was also inspiring my kids, and both my kids went on to college after graduating from Teaneck schools, and they both got a master's degree as well in their field of study. So the foundation started from Teaneck, and it did a lot for me and my family. And that's why I want to make sure everyone has that same opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, Cassandra.
So I attended public schools in a suburb in Long Island, and then went on to attend Fordham University, where I earned a bachelor's degree in business administration with a marketing major. But after working in business, I realized this isn't for me. And I'm actually a teaching fellow, which they gave alternative certifications for people in other areas, other careers, to become teachers in education. And then I went to CUNY City College. And after being a teacher and being an instructional coach, I realized I really wanted to be a counselor. So I went back to CUNY and to Lehman College. So I really think public education is really important. I have nieces and nephews. They're currently in the Teaneck High School. My nephew started off at Whittier. He was actually in a school in New York that I taught at. So I was teaching in that school, but then my sister moved here to Teaneck, but he's currently in the Teaneck High School. I can't talk about my nieces because my time's up, but they're in the Teaneck High School too.
Thank you so much. Next up, Clara.
Well, I'm a proud product of the Teaneck Public Schools. I graduated Teaneck High School. I went on to get a bachelor's degree in business and at NYU. And I also obtained a master's degree from Fairleigh Dickinson. My son is also a graduate of the Teaneck Public Schools. And I have any number of friends whose children attend and whose grandchildren attend the Teaneck Public Schools. And so I feel it is part of my responsibility to assure that these children have the same opportunities and exposure that we had as students of the school district. We I can say that our classes went to everywhere like Harvard, Yale, Barnard, and any number of schools, Bergen Community, and the full range. And I think it's important that this opportunity remain available to these students.
Thank you so much. Next up, David.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I am a 1976 graduate of Jamaica High School. I subsequently went to the City College of New York, the Mount Sinai School of Medicine, and the Columbia Graduate School of Business. I was also a Kellogg Foundation National Fellow back 20 years ago. My kids went to private religious schools, very much focused on academic achievement. I have 4 children, one who works at Facebook. He's a data analytics guy. I have 2 who are physicians, and a 3rd guy is a customer service rep for a company called Wix.
Thank you very much. And finally, Ed Ha.
Yes, so public education is very important to me. My parents didn't have any education, so sorry. So yeah, they didn't have any high school diploma. So for me, I grew up in France, and sorry, I get emotional when I talk about my parents. But so yeah, for me, education has been extremely important. You know, did my engineering school in France. It was I think one of the reasons is because we in France were very proud about math education. You know, very famous math people like Lagrange, Fourier, and others are from France, so that was very important to us. And so I did my engineering school in France. It was also public education. The tuition was about $200 at the time, so not that much. And then went to CU Boulder, did a master's in mechanical engineering. I was very lucky that for the 2nd year, they paid for the entire tuition. So, and then after that, I did my master's at my MBA at NYU School of Business, MBA in finance. I was also very fortunate because my company paid 80% of it. So that was something that helped me out a lot. So thank you. Sorry for being so emotional.
No, we thank you. Ed, I'll just take a little bit of a liberty. Do you have any children in the system here or anywhere?
Yeah, I have 2 kids in the Teaneck Public Schools. They started at, you know, Bryan, did Lowell, Benjamin Franklin Middle School, and now my daughter is in Teaneck High School, and my son is at Benjamin Franklin Middle School in 8th grade.
Thank you, everyone, for coming and participating here tonight. We're going to move into our closings. Everybody has 1 minute for that. But I do want to say that if what the people that came here tonight, the wonderful candidates, are a sampling of the candidates we have to choose from, we've got some really wonderful people to choose from. So thank you all for participating. And now we'll move into closing statements, 1 minute apart, and we'll start with Naveed.
Thank you, Cheryl. And once again, thank you, TDMC, for the platform. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And thank you to everyone that will be watching this, the recording down the road. You know, like I said before, you know, this is my life. This is my career. I've dedicated my life to education. And I really focus on student success and student development. And that's what my goals are. You know, this race isn't a political race. It shouldn't be a political race. It should be nonpartisan. And I encourage you, when you go to vote on November 8th, that you focus on 4 things. Number 1, who's the most qualified? Number 2, who's the most competent? Who has a clear vision for what they want to do within the Board of Education in our school system? And then who will offer the students and prioritize the students first and foremost. So if we're not talking about students, then we're not talking about anything at all. So I'm really excited for November 8th. And that's why I encourage you to vote for Navita Mod for the unexpired one-year term, line 4. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And she knows she's up next, Denise Sanders.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank the TDMC for this platform and all your great efforts, okay? Well, as you know, I am running for the Teaneck Board of Education for the unexpired term, so I can help other children get an opportunity to have an enriched, fulfilled, and premier education like the one I know I have and the ones that my children were able to receive as well. I've been a volunteer parent to the Teaneck Public Schools since my own child was in second grade, entered second grade here in 1996. And when my daughter started in kindergarten here, I've also maintained my volunteer service with all throughout her school year. Now, I personally experienced all the benefits that Teaneck school systems offer, but professionally, I'm an educator, and I've worked around other school districts, found out that our districts, offer just as much, if not more, and some other districts offer less. But I know that Teaneck schools still have a opportunity for our children by giving them a well-rounded education, and the district continues to support our kids. So I think that if you vote for me in the slate AET, you will achieve excellence together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next up, Cassandra.
So thank you for the TDMC for organizing this meeting and for all of you taking the time to attend and watch online. I'm excited to bring positive solutions and stability to the Teaneck Board of Education for students, families, and educators. I'm truly passionate about public education and have always worked tirelessly with students and families, as I believe it is our responsibility to educate and prepare the next generation. I am looking forward to serving on the Teaneck Board of Education, so please vote for Achieving Excellence Together with Edward Ha, Cassandra Reyes, Clara Williams, Sebastian Rodriguez, and Denise Sanders. Espero servirles en la Junta de Educación en Teaneck. Y gracias por venir a esta reunión y tomar el tiempo para asistir y ver esto. Estoy muy motivada a traer soluciones positivas y estabilidad a la Junta de Educación de Teaneck para los estudiantes, familias y educadores. Realmente la educación pública es mi pasión y siempre he trabajado con los estudiantes y familias, ya que creo en nuestra responsabilidad educar y preparar la próxima generación. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Next up, Clara.
I would also like to thank the TDMC for having this opportunity. And I have been a board member for a number of years, and I feel that I have developed a expertise in governance, as well as I am an authentic advocate for our children's education. I would like everybody to understand that the BOE trustee is a critical part of the school district in that they select and evaluate the superintendent. We also play a very critical part in improving the life and lives and education of our children. We have to make tough decisions. We have to collaborate. We have to listen, and we have to serve the parents and the students of our beloved town. I hope that you will vote for me on November 8th, along with my teammates, Ed Ha, Cassandra Reyes, Sebastian Rodriguez, and Denise Sanders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And David, you're up next.
Here we go. So like everybody else, I want to thank the TDMC for the invitation. My platform is very focused. on academic achievement and fiscal responsibility. In other words, value creation. I'm also experienced, having been on the Board of Education for about 5.5 years, and I've taken a 4-year hiatus from there. I believe my experience combined with my skill set could potentially add value to the Board of Education. If you believe that change is needed and that the status quo is not good enough, vote for David Gruber.
Thank you. And next we'll hear from Ed Ha.
Let me start by thanking the TDMC for organizing this panel discussion. Also, thank you to David Gruber and Naveed Ahmad for facing the AET block. So we have all the ingredients to bring our Teaneck public schools to the next level. We have amazing kids, we have great teachers and administrators, and we have a beautiful, diverse community that truly cares about our Teaneck children, whether they have kids or not, and whether they have kids in the whether they have kids in the Teaneck public schools or not. So there is no reason why we cannot become a blue ribbon school district and offer more accredited college courses, more educational field trips, more internship opportunities, and more high quality before and after school programs for all children. If elected, I will work tirelessly to basically bring those programs that we talked about. I will leverage my leadership experience and my professional background in finance and engineering to closely work with the board, the superintendent, our Teaneck Township Council, and our community. On November 8th, please vote 1, 2, 3 for full term and 1, 2 for unexpired term. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Sebastian.
Thank you very much. Thank you to TDMC for putting this together, as well as Ms. Fisher, the ex-board member and excellent timekeeper. And also thank you to everyone who participated in this forum. Unlike many people who are running for school board, I don't base my candidacy on by saying that our test scores are bad. I don't go around saying that our cost of educating our students is too high, or that our schools are not good. I'm a realistic person. I'm sure that we can do a lot better, and we're working towards that goal. But I also look at 92% graduation rate of our students, which is one of the highest in Bergen County and in New Jersey. And yes, we can do better, but 92% is pretty good. I also look at the number of students who participate in AP and honors courses in our high school, which is very high, and we can do better. And I'm glad that we realize that. I also want to say that my candidacy to run for school board, like I do every time I run, is based on my support of public education, my support of a Teaneck school district, and also to, like I said earlier, to be able to lead this board into the hiring of a new superintendent, which is one of the most important facets of being a board member. I hope that once we hire the superintendent, the board and the superintendent will be able to create educational academic goals for all our students, and those goals will help all of our students do better academically. That we continue to look our finances and look for ways to trim in areas where perhaps programs are not doing too well, but not necessarily to come in and say let's slash, let's cut, because the cost of a student course is too high. So
Mr. Rodriguez, you're way over time. I'm sorry.
I apologize. I don't see you on the screen. I
Sorry.
apologize. That's okay. Thank you. Sorry for going over.
Well, thank you everyone for coming again. And even though TDMC, we are a partisan organization, education is a platform issue for everyone. So this is a great opportunity also to hear from you, the candidates. It's so much more than a written paper. In a special way, I would like to thank Alexander Sariano Tervez and Shanaz Ajerman and Margot Fisher for supporting me this night. And I'm Cheryl Hall on behalf of TDMC. We bid everyone success and a wonderful evening, and thank you for this opportunity. Those members of the TDMC, there is a meeting after this. You should look in your email for the link for discussion. Thank you all. Good luck.
Thank you. They did a great job tonight. Hosting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.